Danny Ings, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us here at Astro Supersport in Malaysia. First and foremost, we've got to start with the move to West Ham itself. I know it's been a few months since that move happened, but could you tell us a story about exactly how did it come about and why did you feel like West Ham was the perfect place for this next chapter in your football career?
Well, it happened very fast. I think within 48 hours or so, the move happened, which was probably the quickest one that I've had. Um, yeah, I mean, at Villa, I was enjoying it. I was playing well, but I wasn't playing consistently, and I wanted a different challenge, and I thought that West Ham were a good fit for me. So yeah, I decided to make the decision to come down.
And what has it been like so far coming into a club as big as West Ham? I mean, obviously, it's a club that's got, steeped in crazy history and tradition in English football. It's got an incredible football stadium as well. I'm pretty sure you were aware of how big it was, but what was the realization like as soon as you started wearing the shirt and playing at the London Stadium?
Well, I've been lucky enough to play for a lot of big clubs, and yeah, so for me, the opportunity came up, and I couldn't say no to it because of the size of the club, the success in the previous seasons. I know this season is a lot more difficult, but yeah, I just thought it was a really really good opportunity. I've always wanted to play for a London club at some point in my career, and I thought that now was the perfect time.
I've got to ask you about David Moyes as well, because one of my favorite things in particular about the David Moyes story at West Ham is that it's been a perfect reminder to the football community across the world that he is a lot more than just his, for example, Man United stint, that he's got a lot more to his Arsenal as a football manager with, the European run last season, this year in Europe as well, still going strong. What's it like been working under David Moyes?
Yeah, it's brilliant. He's an experienced manager who's had a lot of games in this league, and Europe as well. So it's again, it was another reason why I wanted to come and play for West Ham because of the success in recent seasons. He finds a way of getting the best out of players, and yeah, it was just an opportunity I really wanted to be a part of.
As you rightly pointed out, Danny, that you've played for some really, really big clubs across your career. And as a byproduct of that, you've played under some of the biggest managers in world football as well. But what makes David Moyes different compared to every other manager that you've played under?
I always find this one hard to answer because every single manager is different in some way, whether it's tactical or as a person. But I'll go back to his experience, and he knows the league inside out and has done for many many years. So I think that's for me his biggest strength is understanding the league and what it takes to be successful in the league, which he has done in the last few seasons. As I said, this season hasn't been how we all want it to be, but that's the reality that this league is very very tough. But I'd say his experience over other managers is his biggest strength.
I want to talk a little bit about the season that you mentioned. It's not exactly been an easy season for West Ham. The run in Europe is still ongoing, and we'll touch about that in just a minute. But as far as the Premier League is concerned, it's been really, really difficult. And you were brought in as an option to really spearhead the team as well and give them additional attacking impetus. And in the short space of time that you've been there so far, could you perhaps get a feel of what exactly has been West Ham's main problem on the pitch this season?
As you said, I wasn't here for the first half of the season. I'm coming into a team. We're fighting. We are. There's no doubt about that, and I think you can see that in our performances. Some performances haven't been pretty. We've won games and we haven't been the best team. So I think that in this league you have to do that when things aren't going your way. It can't always be, really happy, easy every week. It's just not the reality of this league, and everybody knows that who watches the league. So yeah, for me the hardest thing is momentum and building momentum. If you lose a few games, it's hard to get back on that track and rebuild and keep going. But when you do win games, it's important that you kick on from that and try and maximise points as well.
When it comes to the Premier League, everybody is talking about obviously the title race up front and all that. But if you look at the bottom half of the table, Danny, I mean, this is as competitive as it has been in a very long time. We talk about the Premier League being the world's most competitive football league, but this season is probably a testament to just how difficult it is, because the number of points separating, let's say, a team that's placing 12th in the league versus 20th or 19th in the league is not that much. And does that strike you guys as players? Do you guys talk about just how intense and competitive it is?
I think everybody knows. I mean, most of us have been in the game a long time to see how different it is this season. It's strange. I don't remember a season like this. And it just adds that more pressure to each game, which is fine. That's what the Premier League is, and that's ultimately why we do it as players. So it is very very tight, and I think that's what's making it a very difficult season because the gap is so small between certain positions in the league.
I want to touch a little bit about Michail Antonio. It's not going to be so much about the competition between you and him, because the both of y'all have ultimately the same goal, which is to help West Ham stay in the division, to get positive results on the pitch. But as a striker that's training week in, week out with Michail Antonio, what do you think are his biggest strengths as a striker, as a partner, you could say?
I think his physicality is huge for us. In games when we're under pressure, it's important that we've got an outball, and he is that guy. He can run defenders into the ground. He holds the ball up well, and I think that's where he's really effective for us as a team. And it's great. I know at the weekend we played together as well, which is the first time, which was quite nice. So yeah, he's an important player for us, as is everybody else, and we all bring different attributes, and hopefully we can all help the team in other ways.
One of the reasons West Ham has been on the press very regularly is clearly the European runs. Last season was a prime example. I think a lot of the fans enjoyed that European run as well. It's something that really boosts your morale, gives excitement back to the fans. It did not end as well as West Ham fans would have wanted to, although the run was phenomenal. But this season, that European run is still ongoing. And in the context of such a difficult Premier League season, having that European run, do you think that provides like a positive sort of distraction and an opportunity to refresh?
Yeah, I do. It's really important for us to maximise in that competition as much as we can. If we can go all the way and win that, it would be huge for us as a team. And winning each game that we've done so far up to this point can only give us confidence as a team to take back into the Premier League. So I think we do need to use it to build confidence, but it's also a very very important competition that we want to go all the way in.
Yeah, I was just about to ask that. Are the players within the dressing room, your teammates, you yourself as well, generally dreaming about the Conference League victory? Because we saw the amount of impact it had on AS Roma as an institution last season when they won it. Is that something the boys are dreaming about?
Well, any European football is massive. Um, it's I've been lucky enough to play in these competitions before, so I know how important they are to clubs and to fans as well. So, yeah, the run that we've been on is great in that competition, and if we can go all the way, it'd be huge for us as a team.